Recording in progress.
WBZD. Hey guys, welcome back to WBZD. I'm Ashlyn.
I'm Joyce.
I'm Nally.
And we are GT14, architecture students at the University of Hawaii studying abroad at Tongji University in Shanghai. Today we have a very special guest. We have our friend Bea. Woo! Bea, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Beatriz. I'm from Chile and I'm currently doing a dual master degree here in Shanghai. I did 1 year in Barcelona and this 1 year here in Shanghai. So, hello everyone.
We met Bea in our studio class last semester and we kind of just became friends along the way. And we are sadly reaching the end of our time here in Shanghai studying abroad. And Bea's actually leaving next week, so we're really sad to see her go. So we wanted to get her on the podcast as soon as possible before she leaves.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's very sad. I'm actually very sad because I need to leave. But the time is flying and yeah, it's time to go.
Is this your first time in China?
Yeah, it's actually my first time in China, and I didn't know so much about the culture before because I don't know, actually in the school we don't learn so much about China, about Asia as well. So it was a really interesting experience here.
And are you the only person from Chile?
Yeah, in architecture, in our program, I think that I'm the only Chilean. I don't know. I think that also I'm the only Latin America person here in our dual master degree program. So it's also very interesting.
How did you know about the dual degree program? Is it part of your school curriculum?
So I get now the program because when I wanted to apply for a master, so I was looking for a international program, and at that moment I get now the Barcelona option, but one important thing about it was they had this dual master degree. So for this reason, I take the opportunity to go there because I was planning also to come to China.
Did you find it hard coming by yourself and trying to adjust to China, or did you find it pretty easy?
Do you mean with the culture or with what?
Just kind of moving here, and also I guess the culture, if you want to talk about that.
So yeah, I could say that it was very difficult because before I was living as well in Barcelona and in Berlin, and for example, for looking a room, I used to find a room through Facebook or through social medias, but here in China it was totally different. So I didn't know so much how to get a room or something like this. So everything was through WeChat. Yeah, it was very informal because actually my resident didn't have any official website, and I was so scared about the stem and all this stuff. So, but in the end, everything works very well. Also with these new apps and all the language and everything, it was much more difficult than in traveling in Europe, I could say. But after I stay here or arrive here, I think it was, I don't know, it's say difficult, but I think it's more difficult than in Barcelona for sure.
Mm-hmm. So in our previous episodes at our podcast, we talked about some culture shocks that we experienced here in China. Did you have a lot of culture shocks when you came?
So yeah, for sure, one of these is the people is very nice. So actually, it's much more nice than what I expected. Also they try to help you in everything, and they are very open to actually support you through translate or stuff like this. So you can use your phone and talk with people, and they're gonna try to help you as well. Another culture shock is the men's spit on the floor. Yeah, you can also see that in Spain as well. Also, the people do that. But I could say that here is more often.
Yeah, I think that took me a while to get used to as well, like men spitting on the floor. It was something different that we don't really see often. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting to hear that you actually experienced it before in some other country and kind of still getting that shock when you came to China. Well, today's episode was actually supposed to be about internships, which is why we had Bea come on. But we were very happy that you were able to share your experience here in China with our listeners as well. So, if you don't know about our program, we actually do an internship in America for one summer. And then when we come to China, we do another internship here in China. And Bea is also doing an internship here in China. So, we just kind of wanted to talk about our experiences doing an internship here.
Yeah, so I'm actually doing an internship right now in GMP. It's a German company, German architecture company. Yeah, they have one base here in Shanghai, so I got the opportunity to be there.
How were you able to find the internship? Were you like working with your school back at home to find this, or you kind of just looked it up on yourself?
I get the contact through a professor. Actually, our professor, Liu Kan, was our studio professor. And yeah, exactly. So in this winter here in China in January, I wanted to start applying for different internship. I was very lucky. Like everything was coordinating and everything was working. To do that.
I actually have a question. So, is the internship part of your dual degree master program, or is it something outside of school or outside of the program that you wanted to do?
No, it's actually it's outside, so it's not a requirement at all for my program. I just was here, and I think that yeah, staying already in Shanghai, so it will be a very amazing opportunity to do an internship. I think that one important thing for me was also working in a office, to have the experience to work in a German office. So this was my motivation.
Well, I guess we can introduce where we're working at.
So, we're currently working at ECADI, which is also known as East China Architectural Design and Research Institute here in Shanghai. We know about this firm through Clark because there are past GT alumni that actually work there. There's alumni from GT1, and then there's also alumni from GT11 that work at this firm. They do a wide range of projects, but they're all government projects, so they're pretty big projects. This is a state-owned architectural design institute, and they work on projects from airports, historical preservation, interior design, a lot of urban planning stuff. But yeah, they do a wide range of stuff. There's a lot of people at this firm, and they have a whole building to themselves, which is it's a pretty big firm. Although they're based in Shanghai, they actually do a lot of projects all over China. One of the more famous ones that they worked on recently is the Shanghai Opera House, which is also designed by Snohetta. They kind of work together to get this project done. But yeah, so there's a lot of projects that you would see in China, and it's most likely designed by them. So currently, me, Ashlyn, and Natalie work at this firm. We are all working under the airport group. So we all are working on different projects right now. I'm currently working on a couple different airports here and there. A wide range of what I'm doing is I'm doing some conceptual design, some post-design rendering stuff. But what are you guys working on?
I'm currently working underneath airports, so I'm doing interior designing, floor design, and floor plans as well.
So originally I was supposed to be doing AutoCAD work, or at least that's what they proposed to me. But then when I went to talk to my mentor, I mentioned to him how I was interested in project managing. So he actually changed what I was going to be learning throughout my internship process. So now I'm researching more about how project management happens in an aviation project. So it's pretty interesting and something quite different and much larger scale than I'm used to. So it's pretty interesting to kind of go through that process. I'm also helping him do his presentation graphics. So I've been working a lot in Illustrator. And I think one thing that's really interesting about working at this firm is that we're the first international interns at this firm. So they kind of weren't really prepared to have like English speakers there. So most of them speak Chinese all the time, like in meetings and everything. And the computers were actually in Chinese when we first got there. So I had to go onto the settings and try to change the language to English. But then to find out that some of the software like stays in Chinese until you uninstall it and reinstall it, which at this point, it's not really worth it. So I kind of just work in different programs in Chinese.
Yep.
I had to use a Google Translator for most of the parts.
It's hard for Ashlyn because she couldn't understand Chinese or read Chinese. But even for me, who could read Chinese and understand Chinese, it's hard to go through everything on the programs because I'm so used to the English version. If I'm trying to look up something like a tool that I know where it is in English, I would have to read the Chinese and translate it separately. So it takes me a while. Like it takes me longer to do stuff in the Chinese format than it is in the English format.
At least some of the commands are still in English though, so I'm glad about that, but it's all in Chinese.
But I gotta say, my mentor like speaks almost perfect English. Like it's very clear. I can understand him perfectly. Yeah, he's really nice to me. He's always talking to me every single day I arrive and like is teaching me things, kind of gives me a crash course every day. So they speak English and it's really nice to be able to just talk to everyone whenever you can. But yeah, I don't go into any meetings because most of their meetings are in Chinese. Most of their presentation slides and notes are in Chinese too. So I think that's why I'm not really doing much work, I would say, in like their direct projects, but more just helping on the side. But it was pretty interesting to kind of get thrown into that and seeing how they're accommodating for us as well.
Yeah.
Wow, it's very interesting. Actually, I knew as well that I'm the first international student doing an internship at GMP Shanghai, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, it was also an honor to be the first in something. But I have almost the same experience that you. Like, I could say that the most of my meetings are in Chinese. And actually, I don't know, the last Friday I went to a meeting with a glass company or something because they invited me to participate in this meeting, and it was everything in Chinese, and I spent like 1 or 2 hours there, like trying to understand what they are talking about. So yeah, but anyway. Yeah, but it's as well. So my mentor is from the USA, so he speaks for sure perfectly English. And the other people also, I think that in the office, I think that the most speak very well English, and also they speak German. And they are from China, and they speak very well German, because many of them also they were studying in Germany before. So yeah, it's very interesting this, like working right now in a Chinese company because, yeah, so you are the foreigner there.
I think I learned about that too, kind of like how a lot of the workers in the architectural firm they actually studied abroad in other places internationally. So most of them know English, they could speak English, but they mainly work in Chinese because their environment's in Chinese. And I think Ashlyn has a really funny story on this.
I mainly work with my mentor. He sits directly right next to me. But eventually he wanted me to help out 2 other people with doing plans, like colored plans in Photoshop. So he told me to go meet with them. So I kind of just walked over. And obviously, I only heard them speak in Chinese before, but he told me everyone in the team can speak English. So I was like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. And so I walk over, the girl's like explaining the project to me in English and stuff like that. And then she kind of finishes her part, and then she like hands me over to the guy sitting right next to her because I was supposed to do ceiling plans with him. And the girl kind of, what I think she said to the guy was like, oh, can you speak English? Because they've never obviously heard each other speak English before, because why would they have to speak English? So she kind of was like asking him, oh, can you speak English? And he's like, yeah, I can. And all of a sudden he started speaking English, and the girl kind of was like, oh, wow. Like she was super shocked that he could speak English. And I was sitting there like, like smiling. And they can speak really good English.
This story never gets old.
Yeah, but actually it's very interesting because, I don't know, my experience here in Tonji, I don't know, some students, we were in the same studio as well.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say like the most of them, but some students, they couldn't speak English so well. And not only the Chinese, but also the international students. So it's also surprised because they speak Chinese very well, at least in the office. So it's not an international office, no? It's a Chinese company, so it's very interesting as well.
Yeah. Oh, so we kind of explained what we're doing at our firm, and we kind of kept it broad because it's very confidential. What they're working on is pretty confidential. But what are you working on, Bea?
So recently, GMP Shanghai they won a competition. So it's gonna be a huge building for children's. It's gonna be also a theater as well. I was working in the facade design. I'm right now working more in details like what is gonna happen with the infrastructure facade, like with the ventilation. We're working like in different options for ventilation.
Can I ask what programs you're working in?
Yeah, sure. So GMP Shanghai, they mostly work with CAD and also Rhino. I know that in Germany they work mostly with Revit, but here in Shanghai they work with CAD and Rhino.
That's still very crazy to me how they, or maybe because I'm used to working in Revit for construction documents, but the fact that they're in Rhino most of the time for most of the designing in 3D and then also working in AutoCAD for the plans, it's still really crazy to me. All the layers are insane. Just a funny story. Today my Rhino crashed like 5 times.
Not so funny.
It's sad. Sad story. Yeah.
Does your company also use some AI programs? Because I know Joyce has been working with some AI in our company.
So yeah, it's a very good question. I think it's a very recently tools for everyone. So yeah, I think we actually start to elaborate some renders with AI.
I think it's a really interesting topic because I feel like in America, people are still kind of against the use of AI in the architecture firm, though some are like testing it out and trying to see if AI could help them with some design ideas and stuff. But I feel like here AI is super widely accepted, even though it's not that accessible to the people here. I found that a lot of the Chinese students and some of the firms are using AI to kind of help with their design and to produce some of the work. But I think it's because of how fast they need to work. I think the pace that they're working at is so much faster. That's what I realized when working at this firm because almost every single day I need to finish a deliverable and it's usually a model. It's not starting from ground up, but it's mainly the interior stuff that I need to work on. And every single day it's a different design, which is pretty crazy, but I guess that's the China pace.
Wow, but so you are using AI for the interior design, something like this.
It's mainly just for image enhancement. So we do most of the design in Rhino. We do most of the renderings in Enscape. And then we also add all the assets and everything in Enscape. But for final touches, I guess you could say, that's when if we want to enhance something, we just ask AI to do it. Or if there's something that is, I guess, missing or it's just a quick add in AI, that's when we use it. But I found that this firm doesn't really rely on the AI that much, but they like testing it out and they like seeing what AI can produce sometimes. And I think that's one of the good things about this firm. It's a architecture, design, and research institution. So they're doing a lot of the design portion, like they're designing the airports, they're designing actual physical products, but then they're also testing the stuff out, kind of like the interior design that Ashton and her mentor is working on, but also the AI portion that they're testing out, which I think is pretty interesting. And I liked how we're able to see this in a Chinese firm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very agree with you. Like it's a very interesting topic right now, and it's gonna be like in the future years as well. But actually, we had some travels with AI because sometimes you can, I don't know, ask AI like to design something, Oh, but then maybe you actually don't have idea how to build this design. So yeah, and so it's a very interesting tool. It's, right now it's very good for renders, but for design, I think it's still difficult. Like
Yeah.
it's very difficult. Yeah.
I agree. You still need the basics of design in order to produce something. AI can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Joyce mentioned how she realized that the firm culture is different here than back at home. Did you also feel that there was some difference working at a firm here in China?
Yeah, actually, I think that there are some difference. How I say before, I think that the Chinese people is very nice, and also where I met with someone in the lift, they try to talk with me and say me something, but it's very rude in the beginning if you don't get know exactly what is the culture work here, because I know when you arrive to work, anyone, all the people is just focus in their work, so they don't say sometimes hello or goodbye, and it was, I could say, very choking in the beginning for me. But yeah, they are just more independent. Maybe they're also going to lunch alone sometimes, or I don't know where they want. So there is no like a hey everyone go to lunch, hey everyone go for a coffee, hey everyone, no, like everyone is just working on their stuff. And so when I'm arrived to the office, for sure I say hello because it's my culture as well. So I say like hello, good morning, and when I leave, I say also bye, bye bye, like it's the Chinese way. But I know that the most of them they don't do that. Yeah, but I don't know. It's not because they are rude. It's just because it's their culture. So I don't know about you. Like, is the same with you, or what do you think?
Yeah, I find that really interesting too because I feel like the Chinese people here at work, they keep to themselves more. Usually, when they do talk, it's mostly about work. They rarely talk about, or they rarely do small talk, kind of how we would do back in America. Like we would get into the office in the morning and we would say, "Oh, good morning" to the receptionist, but then even the people around you, when you see them, you would just say, "Oh, good morning." But then when I get to work, like everyone is just on their computer. They're just getting things done. But yeah, I think I wouldn't say it was too shocking to me because I kind of just got used to it. And I after being pretty busy with work and with the things that they were giving me, I realized why they don't really do it. It's because you really don't have the time to do small talk in this firm that like works at a super fast pace.
I think I'm a little spoiled. My mentor, I think he's trying to accommodate like my American lifestyle. So when I come into work, I guess I initiate it, but I do say good morning. He says good morning back to me. We kind of have like a little small talk. One time he did ask me like how our trip was when we went to the island, and like he does make those small talks with me, but maybe that's just because he also worked in America before, so he kind of understood that that's how the American work culture also works. So I think he just like accommodated me being there. But I didn't really realize what you were talking about how they don't really do that, like the greetings every morning or like the hellos and the goodbyes in the workplace until you mentioned it. Because it is a little bit weird. Like there isn't much talk going around when you enter. People just come, sit down, do the work, leave. And we didn't really talk about this, but there isn't really a set time of when people leave work per se. I feel like in America, it's like, okay, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, like you're out of the office. But here it's like you're leaving the office when you finish your work. So I think it is a little bit different that people are leaving at different times and you're not really waiting up on other people. It's kind of just you're living your life and you come in, do your work, and then you leave. But yeah, it is a different work culture, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. So I think maybe there are not many social life in the office. And actually, another interesting thing that is that the most of the co-workers arrive very late to the office, like at 10, I could say, start to arrive the people.
And I think that's also because the work time does start later here. I don't know about back in Chile, but in America, like I feel work starts at 8 o'clock, so it is pretty early. But yeah, over here it's like our work starts at 9, and that's like when our call time is. And do people do come a little bit later or like at 9:30? So it is quite different that they start much later. And oh, we also didn't talk about the lunch times. The lunchtime is also different too. I don't know if your lunchtime is the same at your office, but our lunchtime is kind of at 11:30 all the way to 1:30, so it's like a 2-hour gap period, which is quite insane because we're so used to just only having like an hour lunch or 30-minute lunch or something back at home. So kind of just going into work, working for 2 hours, and it's like, oh, okay, lunchtime, get up, go get a lunch. And then most people take a nap. Most workers take a nap during that lunchtime, but we end up kind of doing our own homework and stuff like that. But that 2-hour lunch break is quite different for us. Do you have the same amount of time for your lunch?
Wow, no, actually, I only have 1 hour. They told me actually that I need to take, it's mandatory to take this hour because it's regulated for the government, something like this.
Okay.
So the 1 hour is mandatory, but 2 hours is crazy. Like so that I mean that you work less hours in total or not? Because so my journey it should be like from 9 to 6, but with 1 hour included, 1 hour lunch. So do you work 1 hour less or not?
Yeah, I guess so. Because we start 9:30 and then we have our 2-hour lunch break and then we end at 6.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
But I think the time is pretty flexible because it really depends on if you finish your work or not. I think there's some times where I would be working during lunchtime or I would be working after work, like a little later, finishing up my work. But yeah, you have that 2-hour break, but then it's mainly dependent on whether you finish your work or not.
Yeah, but actually, I don't know, but I prefer much more start early and leave early because I like to have life like outside the work. Like, I don't know, meeting for dinner or with friends or to try to do some sport or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that the people here is very focused into the week. Like, they don't have any plans, maybe. I'm not sure. But because they leave very late as well. So you cannot have any plan, like, after the work. So maybe into the week they are just focused on their work.
I'm kind of wondering if the work time starts so late because school normally starts at 8 o'clock. And so there's like a big rush time of kids going to school at that time on the metro. And then they have another big rush when it's like much later in the day when we kind of go at 8 o'clock. And so school's already started, but all the workers are going on the metro now. And it's still jam-packed during that time. So I'm kind of wondering if they're just trying to stagger the start times of the different ages and like the school versus workplaces. And if that is the case, then that's pretty genius because I can't imagine having so many people on the metro when there's already so many people trying to get to places. Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Like, so the time when you arrive to work is flexible. You can arrive to work like whatever time, or you need to arrive like at 9:30.
I think for us interns, they don't want us to have flexible hours, so they kind of expect us to be there at 9:30 and then don't stay any later beyond 6. Yeah, because they kind of just since we're not getting paid, and I think they just kind of know that we also, like you mentioned, want to have a life outside of this work. So they're kind of trying to make us stay within the hours that they're telling us, which is 9:30 all the way to 6. So they don't want us to work extra hours and overtime.
Ah, very nice. But how did that happen? Like they told you, like, hey, you can leave at 6, please leave.
I'm not too sure, but I think it really depends on our mentors. My mentor was pretty, like, he really want to make sure that I do have a life after work and I'm not just focusing on work or doing overtime. So there's times where I'm working on stuff and I'm at a good stopping point and he would come over and check all of my work and he's like, oh, this is pretty good. I think you should go now, because he doesn't want me to work past 6:30. I see this difference pretty big in my team because I'm pretty much the only intern in the team. But then there's also the actual workers that are on the team, and he would go like, "Okay, you did good, but you can leave now. I don't want you to stay past 6:30. You should go home now." And then he would go like, "But for you, can you stay overtime? Like, can you work overtime today? Can you finish this, please?" And I'm like, "Wow." And then we have a WeChat group chat with all the people on the team and me. So it's called the airport that we're working on intern group. And then it's crazy because I would be getting messages at 8 or 9 p.m. and that means they're still at the office working on whatever they're trying to finish. So I think, yes, China has, or at least for the firms that we're working at, they have a very flexible hour, but it really depends on whether you finish the work or not. I think there's also a different culture shock that we probably got, at least for us Chinese speakers. Natalie, do you want to talk about it?
They don't call each other by their names. They only call it by our last name. So they go out like Ogong, which is like O, my last name, and then worker. It's not more like your name, which is more like intimate. It's just like just worker.
I had the same experience because when we first started, my my mentor, who was actually part of the global track, he was part of the global track. He was actually part of GT1, so he was like part of the first group. You know, it was kind of interesting. We would speak in Chinese, and he would call me Xiao Lin or Lin Gong, Lin Gong. So in China, they actually address each other with their last name and the word Gong, which means worker. And I wasn't used to that at first. When he was calling me, he probably called me at least like 10 times and I did not respond because he was like far away and he was trying to call me, but I wasn't paying attention and I didn't know he was trying to call me. So I like was like, huh? And he came over and he was like, "Oh, Xiaolin, what are you working on?" Like he's asking, "Oh, what are you working on?" But I think over time I got used to it, and then instead of calling me Lin Gong, he calls me Xiaolin, but because I think he sees that works better for me. Yeah.
But what I mean that, like, I didn't understood, like, chilling. What I mean, how is, because your name is Joyce. Why he called you?
Yes. So my English name is Joyce Lin. My first name is Joyce, and then my last name is Lin. And then in Chinese, my Chinese name is Lin Yinxin. So my last name is actually Lin. And then they address each other using their last name instead of their full name or their first name, which is also a different cultural thing because in America you would address each other with first name, but then here they're addressing each other using last name plus Gong. That's really interesting. So there's Lin Gong, and then there's also Xiao Lin. Xiao Lin means like little Lin.
Do you mean with the hierarchy? Or
Kind of. I don't know if it's like a hierarchy thing or
Nickname.
yeah, it's like a nickname. They kind of would address each other going like, "Oh, Xiao Lin, Xiao O, Xiao," whatever their last name is. And I think he's using that because I'm an intern and I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm like lower down there. I wouldn't put it that way, but it's because it just sounds better than Lin Gong. I feel like Lin Gong sounds a little too official for me, and then Xiao Lin is more like, "Oh, you're just here for a little bit."
They call me by my first name. I can't imagine them trying to say my last name. I think it works for your guys' last name because it's like one syllable and then they finished off with the company. So I think that works, but like I can't imagine them trying to say my name.
Okazaki Gong.
Yeah.
Okazaki, Xiao Okazaki.
I think they actually asked me when I first got there, like, "Oh, what should we call you?" Because I didn't have a Chinese name, so they couldn't use like what they're using for Joyce and Natalie. And I don't think they really wanted to use my first name because maybe that is too
Personal.
yeah, personal for them. So they ended up using my first name though.
Yeah, actually, it's very funny because I remember that at the first day, so actually they put in my full name, and I have a very long name, because I know in Latin America we use the one name, the second name, the first last name, and the second last name. But I just use like my first name and my two last name. But they put it like in team, all my name with my four names. And it was very crazy because I was talking with a coworker who I was working on. And he told me, "Hey, you can give me your name so I can add you to the team." And And he was like, what? What is this? He was also very shocked, like, how should I call you? Like, it's a very long name. But yeah, it's fun.
It's also interesting because when they added me on WeChat, some of them did had English names. So it was pretty interesting to see that. And obviously, I don't really know their Chinese name because I'm just going off of whatever WeChat name they have. So I like message them with their English names.
You know what's so interesting though? People would call me, like the Chinese people would usually call me Xiao Lin or Lin Gong. But then GT11, so on the same team that I'm working on, there's GT1 and then there's also an alumni from GT11. She actually calls me Joyce.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty like nice. And I WeChat her in English and she knows that I'm more comfortable in English, but she's also really good at English. So there's times where she would be checking my work or she would come and see what I'm doing and we'll be speaking in English.
I kind of use both in Chinese and English. Chinese talking, but English when I'm like on WeChat because they can translate it. So I just use English.
There's actually a pretty big difference between whether you can speak Chinese or if you can't speak or understand Chinese working in a Chinese firm. I can see this difference, especially because me and Ashton actually sits in the same row. For me, I feel like I get to be in a lot of the meetings, a lot of the internal meetings, and I feel like I got more design work because I'm able to understand and speak Chinese, and I'm able to ask for help whenever I need it. But it might also be because of the programs. All the programs are in Chinese. I still do struggle, but I think it might be easier for me to kind of explain my thought process and explain the design that I'm working on better because I can speak Chinese. I don't know how to put it, but yeah.
Yeah, well, on the flip side, I think, like Joyce mentioned, I don't speak Chinese. I don't read Chinese. So most of the things that they work in is in Chinese. So it is more difficult, I think, for them to put me on that project. And a lot of the times my mentor is trying to explain to me what the project is about and showing me the PowerPoint slides in Chinese. And he kind of is like always saying, oh, I'll just throw this into AI and then translate this into English for you, which I think is just like a whole other hassle for him to do, which is really nice for him to be able to do that for me. But yeah, I think it is just harder for them to kind of just throw me into a project and trying to figure out everything that's written while it's in Chinese. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes a really good point because working in a Chinese firm, an international intern working at a Chinese firm, it's usually two different ways that we each handle stuff. It's either the company accommodates you or you have to accommodate the company. And I think it kind of depends on like the language barrier and stuff like that.
So I think it really worked out really well that I mentioned to him that I was into project managing. So he was able to kind of switch that and kind of drop the whole, okay, she has to figure out this CAD in Chinese and mainly let me work in English and research and help him with his research in English. And so I think that was kind of nice to be able to just switch that for him and make it easier as well.
I think that it's also a very interesting topic, like about the languages, because in GMP Shanghai they speak in the office 3 language right now, like it's German, English, and Chinese. So it's also very interesting how the people is talking in so many languages in the same place. Very fun.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention is that it was very shocking to me how big this firm was. I never worked at a firm this big before. I believe what my mentor said was that there's 5,000 people at this firm. So it is pretty massive. And you can kind of feel that there is a lot of people when you go down to the canteen. Oh, yeah. So another thing, there's a canteen directly in our building. Wow. So you go down to the 3rd floor and there's a canteen there. It's like literally the entire floor. There's 2 different sides that you can choose from for food. And it's always packed during the time of lunchtime. And dinner time it's not as packed, but there's still people there. And it is super convenient just to be able to go to work, go down, eat, and then go back up. And I think that's kind of what they're going for is like the convenience. And the food there is also really good and decently priced too. So it's just super convenient for everyone to just go there.
Wow, amazing. And how many floors actually have your office?
21. There are 21 floors in our building.
And all of them is for the office?
Yes.
Wow.
So I think there's technically, yeah, like Joyce mentioned earlier, there's different departments. So on the 20th floor is the aviation floor. I don't really know what is on the other floors, but there's different departments on different levels. And they also have, what was really cool, they have a material library on the 5th floor. So you can kind of just go and see all the different materials and showcasing different companies that have interior designing.
Wow, it's totally crazy. No, in my case, the office just have 2 floors, sadly, but we are not so many people. I actually I don't know how many, but I will say 50. And mostly we work for competitions. What about you? Like, you are working on competitions mostly, or what are you doing?
This firm actually works more on government projects, so there's a lot of big projects that they would be working on. Yeah, that would be located all throughout China.
Okay, nice.
Well, we might be running out of time. Do you guys have any last comments about your internship experience?
Yeah, I have one. So actually, I really enjoy my neighborhood around because I just have 1 hour, but I can enjoy the neighborhood around. It's very close to the Shanghai Philharmonic. I don't know, like always there's something new around, and I also try to go each coffee place there. There are so many, and also with the food. I love the pancakes around. I don't know. The office is in a very good place as well. I'm gonna miss so much my time here.
I think our neighborhood, the firm that we're at, is actually in a pretty good neighborhood. It's actually by the Nampu Bridge, but that's also where the old expo park was. So in our office, we're on the 20th floor for aviation. But when you look out towards the riverside, you can actually see part of the Nampu Bridge, but also all the different projects that were built during the World Expo in 2010, I believe. There's also the Power Station of Art. So it's a really nice view. And we're actually pretty much in the expo park. So during lunchtime, you can actually walk out and kind of wander around the different projects that were built during that time.
I think overall, I highly recommend people to do an internship abroad if they can. It is a really good experience. It is something different.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm totally recommended also to, I don't know, to get out for the bubble and get know any people, any culture, and yeah, and it's a very good experience also for your CV and your professional abilities.
And I think it's very important, especially through this program, that we get this opportunity to actually intern in a Chinese firm, because it'll actually give you a better insight and a better view of what working in China will be like what the work culture is, what you're going to be expecting when you're entering the firm. And it's just a lot of things that you wouldn't actually get if you're not in China or if you're not interning in a Chinese firm. So I think that's a really good point in this program that we're in.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. We really enjoyed having your insights on this topic, and we're really sad to see that you're leaving soon.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. And yeah, for sure we're gonna meet again in Hawaii. So don't worry.
Please come to Hawaii. Oh my gosh. We definitely will meet again.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
If you wish to continue to follow our journey, please follow us on Instagram at uhm.gt. And if you have any specific topics or questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below or email us at globaltrackarchitecture@gmail.com. And thank you again for joining us today. We hope to see you again soon.
Shoots!